to say, it's about time. I am very happy to tell you that this month, American media became the sole owner of Mr. Olympia. The last 90 days have been quite exciting for American media. Besides acquiring all of Mr. Olympia and the Fitness and Performance Expo, we purchased Us Weekly, the largest celebrity magazine in the United States, for $100 million. We also acquired Men's Journal magazine and decided to merge it with Men's Fitness, beginning with the November issue. Finally, I'm excited to announce my presidential appointment as a senior member of the President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. All of these acquisitions and strategies, Mr. Olympia, Us Weekly, Men's Journal, and the President's Council, will impact everyone here tonight. Now, let's look at what this year's Olympia has in store for you. At tonight's main event, Phil Heath will go for his 7th Olympia title, attempting to match the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger's record. Finally, for anyone who doesn't believe bodybuilding is a growing sport, just check out who our sole sponsor is this year. We also have a very special guest here with us tonight. I think many of you may have heard of him. When he joins me on stage later this evening, DJ will tell you about a documentary he is producing on this year's Olympia. God bless you all. Bob, let's get the show started.
The road to greatness starts now.
The voice of bodybuilding, Bob Chicarillo. Coming in on Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, bodybuilding fans from around the world, welcome to the 2017 Olympia. Folks, we've got a great show lined up for you here tonight. We're going to get right to it. Phil Heath looking for number 7 right here on this stage. Can he make history? And can he match the great Arnold Schwarzenegger? Folks, we've nailed it down to our top 10 for tonight. Our top 10 are in the back and ready. The judges seated and in place. Fans here at the Olympia, are you ready? Please welcome your first competitor from Curacao, the Beast, Ronnie Winkler.
All right, our 2017 Olympia Finals is now underway as Ronnie Winkler, by way of Curacao, makes his way to the stage. He's had a fairly quiet year after a busy one a year ago where he competed 8 times, and Ronnie, of course, showcases some of those historically spectacular arms, and he's really done a great job of becoming a real big star here in Las Vegas, Sean, each year come Olympia time.
Well, Dan, like I said from a day ago, 24 hours later, we could be looking at a totally different bodybuilder, which at first blush, that's exactly what I see. I see a Ronnie Winkler that's a little bit closer to where he should have been yesterday, so he did definitely make up ground.
One of the real challenges for a guy like Ronnie Winkler is we are now in an era where the top guys are named Phil Heath and Dexter Jackson and Sean Roden. They are of the more aesthetic variety. And when a guy like Ronnie Winkler shows up, now granted, Big Ramy, we're going to talk about him later, he's managed to pull it off, but he's got a better flow, a different type of structure. With Ronnie, it's really hard for him to compare with guys like Heath and the other more aesthetically guys.
He's not a genetic freak. He's got body parts. And when thrown together, you can see there's a little bit of blockiness in the way the thighs are shaped. He's got those massive arms that overpower the majority of his physique. It doesn't flow on an aesthetic basis, but Ronnie by himself is a freak. And when he picks the right show, he wins. That's how he got here.
Well, we're going to get our first
Your
look
next finalist from the
at,
United Kingdom. Please welcome Nathan Diasha.
Okay, Nathan Diasha, one of the rising stars in the world of professional bodybuilding, competing in the Olympia for the second time. He was 12th here a year ago, a former British champion, and Sean Ray, a lot of people really like what they're seeing from Nathan Diasha.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential, and it's a diamond in the rough. The lats are a little bit high, the waist is a little bit long. Again, this is his second Olympia, so there's a lot of things that he's going to have to learn along the way, and we're going to see those weaknesses here on the biggest stage. But again, he's a guy that when he picks the right show, he winds up in that victory circle. And right now, this is a contest where I talked to him after prejudging yesterday that he is just ecstatic because no matter what happens here, he's done better than he did a year ago.
He's got no shortage of biceps. He's got plenty of shoulders, and he's got a nice thick quad sleeve.
He is the #1 British bodybuilder. If you discount James Flex Lewis, who's from Wales, this guy right now is representing the UK very well.
Well, it's been fun watching the cultural component of this weekend. There are elite world-class athletes representing, 25 countries or so over the course of the weekend. So it's a real international showcase here in Las Vegas.
Please welcome from the USA, Flexitron Sean Roden.
Well, here he is, your 2009 North American champ. That was a long time ago, but 5 years in a row now, he's been a top 4 finisher here at the Mr. Olympia contest. And only a year ago, he was the runner-up here.
Yeah, and I said a year ago, he's one of the more quiet first runner-ups. Not a lot of fuss was being made about the fact that Sean Roden had taken out Dexter Jackson, Big Ramy, and the likes. This is the former Arnold Classic Europe champion. Sean didn't just fall into first place. He's been a work in progress.
This is a guy who presents his physique in a very artistic way. And what we're going to do now is we're going to sit back and let you watch the posing routine of last year's Olympia runner-up, Sean Roden. But I got to be honest with you, we're seeing some things right now that I don't know that I've seen on a bodybuilder.
Well, I did. Kai Green is one of those guys that he's a performer and stole some moves from Chris Dickerson. And of course, I combined some things from Labrada and Bob Paris back in the day. Sean is taking a lot of liberties to use the guys that came before him. Very slow, mellow person, and he poses the same way.
And he's made some improvements. He talked about wanting to improve the hamstrings and the glutes. He's done that. It's really the upper back density and the detail. That's the area that he's needed to improve to kind of take that next step. And the question is, has he done that?
Well, it's not just the back. The triceps are very slight, and the thighs at times are very soft and smooth. There's a few things. He relaxes his stomach a little bit more than I'd like him to see on this stage. This is where you got to stay in very strong control and keep it tight at all times. But I got to give it to him that he did dry up from a day ago. And again, when you pose like this, it makes your muscles more controlled and helps them get more separated.
I don't think we reach the end of the night, but you just got to really, it's being as good for as long as he has is one of the hardest things to do. And you just got to tip your cap to what Sean Roden has been able to bring at this level year in and year out.
Please welcome your next competitor from Down Under, the king of the gym, Josh Lenardowitz.
All right, the pride of Australia is going to walk onto the stage right now. From the emerged from the smoke is Josh Lenardowitz. He has 3 pro wins already to his credit. He won just a month ago in Tampa, Florida.
He's a lot softer than he was in Tampa, Florida. We've seen him better, but even when he's off, he's one of the top 10 physiques in the world, which tells you a little bit about this guy's potential, especially when he's 100% mentally focused, along with being physically prepared.
In spite of everything he's gone through, when you look at this guy's proportions, his structure, you could see why this guy has superstar written all over him. He's got a great look, great stage presence. He's extremely popular, not just in Australia, but throughout the entire world.
Absolutely, and you know what? In spite of the soft, thin layer of water that's conjugated around the hamstrings and the glutes and the back, you can clearly see that the muscle is underneath there. He's got to be in much better condition on a show of this caliber but the shape is there. Of course, the knock on Josh is the chest. There's a little bit of a genetic disposition there with his chest being a little bit more separated than some of the genetic freaks are. This is a physique in the right show that can take out some very good bodybuilders. And a year ago, this guy competed in a lot of contests. So I'm very surprised that he's able to show up here and look as good as he does.
Give it up for Josh Lenardowitz.
Well, you know, the storyline of Dallas McCarver continues to sort of cast a cloud over this weekend, and we're going to talk more about that as our production goes on, because it's a.
And here's Cedric trying to represent. And this is the guy, Dan, that Arnold Schwarzenegger was saying that if we were looking for an ideal physique that embodies what a bodybuilder should look like, perform like, and even behave like, Cedric McMillan fit the bill as far as Arnold Schwarzenegger was concerned.
So let's sit back and watch Cedric's routine, because Cedric has quickly become one of the more popular guys in the sport, somebody who we really enjoy covering, and somebody who has a whole lot of fun and also keeps great perspective about all of this. So let's watch Cedric.
Can't ignore the glimpses of possibilities. I mean, this guy on this stage, if he did it all in one night, he could take out a guy like Phil Heath. He could beat a big Rami and a William Bonek, because he's just a genetically blessed bodybuilder. We've seen lots of bodybuilders, Dan, Matt Mendenhall, Roy Ludemeyer back in the day. They were blessed with the great genetics, but could never dial it in on the big stage. Cedric may still have some time to do that, but it won't happen here this weekend.
There is no question in my mind that this is one of the more enjoyable bodybuilders to cover. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to continue our coverage here from Las Vegas at Joe Weider's 2017 Olympia Weekend.
Welcome to the biggest freak show on earth.
Everyone here has the same goals that I do. So I'm happy, I'm excited.
There's more to Olympia Weekend than the competitions staged at the Orleans Arena. Each year, the Las Vegas Convention Center plays host to the Olympia Expo, 2 days of events, appearances, and vendor booths that sees over 60,000 fans on Friday and Saturday. It's basically one giant playground for fitness enthusiasts. The Expo also plays host to several competitions, from the Olympia men's and women's physique divisions to a wide range of physical challenges for all attendees to try. Fans come from all over the world.
Australia, Finland,
Arizona,
The UK,
Atlanta,
Miami,
Hawaii,
Chicago,
Mexico, Germany,
New York City,
LA.
To sample the latest supplements, workout equipment, and emerging technologies, and to meet the biggest stars in bodybuilding and fitness. It's a dream come true to shake hands and take a selfie with your hero.
I just simply a big fan.
And maybe even get some personal advice.
Just had a chance to spend some time with the gift, Phil Heath. It was absolutely awesome.
Flex Lewis has probably been one of my biggest inspirations in bodybuilding.
We love Nicole, love to watch her, she's spunky.
The memories of these moments will inspire long after the Olympia weekend is over. Every year, the Olympia Expo exceeds the prior one in attendance and excitement, with 2017 being no exception, which means you definitely don't want to miss the 2018 Olympia Expo right here at the Las Vegas Convention Center.
So I love the vibe, I love the people, and this is what I do.
All right, we're back for our ongoing and very exclusive coverage here from the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. You're watching Amazon Sports Nutrition's presentation of Joe Weider's Olympia Fitness and Performance Weekend. And one of the more anticipated moments of the night is our chance to get a look at Mamdou Alzbaye. They call him Big Rami, and he is big indeed. And Sean Ray, he has come here to Las Vegas this year, and let's not mince words, he means business.
Absolutely. We saw this guy last time winning out in Kuwait. He's arrived. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best he's been on this Olympia stage, and he's going to be looking for his just desserts by the time this night is over.
Well, there's certainly no denying, as you just mentioned, this is the best version of Big Ramy we have ever seen. When you start talking about the comparison between Phil Heath, it's going to open up a whole whirlwind of controversy when this event is over, regardless of who wins.
The delts, the quads, the small waist, the abs, the pecs. I mean, Ramy has done his business, and not to be outdone, he was working with legendary trainer Big Chris Cormier, who's Big Ramy right now is starting to feel a little bit more confidence as he hears the remarks from last night.
And you're seeing, and they love him here in the U.S., they love him in Vegas, and this is the guy who has started to develop that swagger. He showed up here a couple years ago, was a little timid. It wasn't the same guy that you're seeing tonight. He's here to take this title. He feels like he's done the work based on the crowd response. I think there's a few people in this building that might think that it's the outcome that could play out.
And that standout trophy has traveled around the world. Of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger representing Austria, Sergio Oliva, Cuba, Franco Colombo, Italy, Dorian Yates from England. This would be a big feather in his cap if he could take this trophy back to Kuwait.
Your next finalist from the USA, Brandon Curry.
Well, you're looking really at one of bodybuilding's hottest properties, and it's kind of fallen a little bit under the radar when we start talking about all these other big names, but Brandon Curry's competed twice this year. He won both times, including the Arnold Classic, Australia. His momentum is off the charts, and he comes in here to Las Vegas as a guy with a legitimate chance to secure a spot in the top 5.
Dan, they call this guy the prodigy. He won the overall USA Championships, which Brandon's always been slightly top-heavy. The wide shoulders, the big arms, don't always match up with the legs, which have been slight, but he's brought the legs up, and he's been rewarded for that. But of course, he can always use a little bit more on the lower half. This guy's 252 pounds at all of 5'6", 5'7".
The experts really feel that this is a guy who's got the goods, or at least had the goods early on, and for a while there he started to lose some steam. We were questioning whether or not it was going to play out, and it took a little while, and he seems to have figured it out.
Right now, he's starting, like Ramy, to feel the confidence of the work that he's put in when no one else was looking.
Sean, you know, we're getting to look at a lot of these guys right now, and you just can really appreciate the overall quality. Brandon looked great. Ramy probably is the best he's ever been. But across the board, we're trying to figure out who really brought it at the highest level, because we often say when an Olympia is over, which one of the guys really showed their all-time best?
This guy right here, for him, I would venture to say that his coach, Neil Hill, and him, William Bonek from the Netherlands, feel like they brought their absolute best. And William's got confidence, Dan. He's actually beaten Sean Roden. He's actually beaten Big Ramy. So he is not afraid to get up here and show his best against the world's best.
He was the story of last year's Olympia, and he now has 6 professional wins to his credit. But when he landed in the top 5 here a year ago, no one saw it coming.
But right now, William Bonek is here, and he's arrived.
You know, it's great because we're starting to see the emergence of guys that really weren't on that top-tier radar a couple years ago. But it's really important for this sport for guys like, you know, Brandon and William Bonek to come in to the Olympia and to do it on this stage and to do it at a high level, because not everybody can do it when the lights are shining the brightest.
Absolutely, and while I think William has improved, he still just needs to open up a little bit big. And I'd like to see William open up a little bit more. He likes to do the most muscular shots to show off the muscularity, but he's got to think big, think wide, and show off his physique a little bit more, because he does tend to look a little bit smaller when he's not all the way opened up in the poses.
Now everyone brings a different flavor to their that you see every type of style.
Your next competitor from the USA, former Mr. Olympia,
we'll talk about
the Blade, Dexter Jackson.
Well, here he is. I mean, this is the most decorated bodybuilder in the history of the sport. He has been victorious 28 times, the winningest bodybuilder of all time. They call him the Blade, Dexter Jackson, and as Bob Ciccarello mentioned, he is a former Mr. Olympia champion. Amazingly enough, it was 9 years ago that he was crowned Mr. Olympia on this stage, and here we are.
I mean, the thing about Dexter, he doesn't take a whole lot of time off. His weight doesn't fluctuate very much.
We're looking at a bodybuilder who will turn 48 years old in November, and there is nothing remotely 48-year-old looking about that physique. He is dry, he is grainy, he has that classic Blade-esque separation. He's going to turn around to the back, and you're going to see everything that helped make him Mr. Olympia and knock off Jay Cutler 9 years ago.
He had different people competing back in those days, and now he's got to come up and contend with a guy like William Bonac, who wasn't even, I don't know if he was even a pro back when Dexter Jackson won the Mr. Olympia championships.
While we might criticize that his conditioning isn't quite where it has been before, there's nothing about this physique that looks even remotely old.
In any sport, there's nobody like Dexter Jackson. Dexter is right there in the mix with these guys. If we didn't know how old they were, Dexter Jackson's still a top 6 guy. Strong too. Yeah, lifting the kind of weights that Dexter lifts for a 48-year-old guy, it's very impressive.
There he is, one of the greatest. One of the greatest of all time in the nearly 48-year-old former Mr. Olympia.
Your final competitor is your 6-time reigning and defending Olympia champion, the Gift, Phil Heath.
All right, Dan Solomon along with Sean Ray, and we are watching the #1 bodybuilder on the planet. Phil Heath, a 6-time Mr. Olympia champion, makes his way to the stage for the first time tonight. He debuted all the way back in 2006, and since then, he has gone on to have an extraordinary career. Tonight, he looks for Olympia win #7, and Sean Ray, if he is able to do that, we will have to say, move over Arnold Schwarzenegger, you've got company. So I'm gonna ask you, Sean Ray, how do you feel about this year's strategy in 2017?
Well, it's clearly working. I mean, this Phil is in the hunt. I mean, this is Phil's show. Right. I don't know where you pick apart Phil Heath. You may talk about not having control over his stomach throughout his routine, but when you I mean, at the end of the day, this is Mr. Olympia we're looking at right now. Until he stands next to Rami for the second round of comparisons, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where all the questions will be answered. Because right now, Dan, I'm looking at a 2-man show. William Bonac, as good as he is, I'm not sure he's big enough to take on the beast from the East. But Phil is looking like Mr. Olympia. The question is, how will he look standing next to Rami 24 hours from yesterday?
There he is, Phil the Gift Heath. He comes to us from Colorado, and he's looking for #7.
This next gentleman is calling it a career, and he wanted to end it right here in front of you fans in Las Vegas, right here, center Olympia stage. Please welcome world's strongest bodybuilder, Johnny O. Jackson.
Well, Sean, I'm really pleased that they're bringing Johnny out, because initially I thought he was going to come out earlier. It turns out they're going to put him out right now. He's 46 years old, a former national champion, 16th year as a pro. This is his 13th Mr. Olympia, and as Bob Ciccarello just mentioned, we are going to get what appears to be, based on what Johnny has announced, his final appearance here at the Mr. Olympia. And this will be the final routine that we will see here in the Mr. Olympia portion of the event. Typically, it would end with the defending champion, Phil Heath. They had brought Johnny Jackson out. He is not a top 10 finisher, to give him one final chance to perform for his bodybuilding fans.
Well, Dan, as a side note, I want to give a special shout out to Johnny Jackson, husband and a father, a contest promoter, lifelong career bodybuilder. Dan was right. This is one of the world's strongest bodybuilders, right there with Ronnie Coleman.
Give it up for one of the greatest of all time. Come on over, Johnny.
All right, we're back in just a moment after a quick break. You're watching Amazon Sports Nutrition's presentation of Joe Weider's Olympia Weekend.
place where I felt
new Olympia Classic Physique Champion. The fitness division is the most dynamic of Olympia competitions, with competitors performing choreographed routines that highlight their strength, agility, flexibility, and showmanship, while also being judged on their physiques. Veteran competitor Miriam Capes takes the runner-up spot to perennial showstopper Oksana Grishina, now a 4-time Fitness Olympia winner. The Bikini Olympia was wide open, as defending champion Courtney King did not compete. Jennifer Ronziti finishes in second, while last year's runner-up Angelica Teixeira moves up one spot to become the new Bikini Olympia champ. The Olympia figure division is contested by women who are more muscular than the bikini competitors, but less so than the women's physique competitors. Two-time defending champion Latoya Watts moves down a spot to second. Sydney Gillen, who placed third here last year, leapfrogs to first and is now the reigning figure Olympia champion. For bodybuilding fans, the two most anticipated events are the 212 Olympia and, of course, the Mr. Olympia competition itself. Competitors in both divisions take the Orleans Arena stage on Friday in what's called the prejudging. It's the first chance judges and fans get to see the athletes as they go through a series of rounds to assess their size, shape, definition, and overall muscularity. Contestants in the 212 Olympia must clock in at under 212 pounds at an official weigh-in the Wednesday evening before the competition. James Flex Lewis has won this event every year since the division limit was increased from 202 pounds to 212 pounds in 2012. But the question on everyone's minds is whether he can make it 6 in a row. In a repeat of last year, Ahmad Ashkenazi comes in second. And once again, the Welsh Dragon, James Flex Lewis, retains his title to make him a 6-time Olympia 212 champion. Congratulations, Flex. And now it's time for the big boys, the Mr. Olympia competitors. In its 53-year history, only 13 men have won the Olympia title, with defending champ Phil Heath owning 6 coveted Sandow trophies. Can he make it 7 in a row, tying him with bodybuilding legend Arnold Schwarzenegger for second on the all-time wins list? He's facing his toughest challenge to date, in the form of massive 300-pound Mamdouh Big Ramy Elsbier, plus last year's runner-up Sean Roden, and third-place finisher Dexter Jackson, Roly Winkler, William Bonac, and 12 more of the biggest, baddest, most ripped men on the planet, as the 2017 Mr. Olympia competition begins now.
All right, we're back here in Las Vegas at the Orleans Arena for Amazon Sports Nutrition's presentation of Joe Weider's Olympia Weekend. I want to welcome everybody who's watching on Amazon Prime Video. Dan Solomon, along with Sean Ray, Carlos Sanchez will join us. And now head judge Steve Weinberger is going to step in and take these guys through a series of comparisons. They're also going to bring back the guys now who did not make the top 10 and give them a chance to be seen here in Las Vegas.
They may not be the best here, but a lot of these guys are the best in their country, and that says a lot.
And they certainly deserve this opportunity to stand out there. As you said, these guys have worked as hard as anybody in this contest has. And hopefully next year they can be back here and they can actually make the top 10 and perform their routine.
It's trademark. Nobody does that better than him.
They always say when you come to Vegas, you see things that you don't see anywhere else.
Thank you, Lucas. You gotta love the glute roll. All right, folks, we're gonna have our top 10 gentlemen on stage, please.
It's not a given that just because you're in the first call out, you're gonna be last man standing.
This is being judged live right now, folks. So be as loud as you want. Please welcome your head judge, Mr. Steve Weinberger.
Thank you, Bob. Can we see Roly, Sean, Dexter, Ramy, William, and Phil?
And that was predictable from last night's call-outs, Dan. I mean, all these guys equally, I think, improved.
The defending champion.
Dexter and Williams, switch, please.
Phil Heath.
Dexter and Williams.
Along with Big Ramy, of course.
Phil, I imagine they'll probably stand next to each other in a minute.
And Rolly switch.
And there it is, Dan.
And the crowd understands what they're watching. Everybody in the bodybuilding universe wants to see Mamadou Asbaye, Big Ramy stand next to Phil, the Gift, Heath, and see these guys go toe-to-toe and pose for pose.
Gentlemen, quarter turn to the right.
You're looking at two men on stage who have won the Mr. Olympia, Dexter Jackson, a former champion, Phil Heath, the reigning champion, and then there's Big Ramy, a guy who's trying to become champion.
Yeah, I mean, he's thick as a brick. I mean, again, this takes me back to when I competed with Dorian Yates. It's that apple and oranges comparison. But I can tell you, Dexter does not look 10 years older than Phil Heath in this comparisons.
Well, here it is. This is where the Big Ramy fans will sit there and point out, and I'd love it if the camera could pan back over and we can get a clear sense of that Big Ramy versus Phil Heath.
And Dan, that front lat spread is Big Ramy all day. He's just too big for all the guys on that lineup for the front lat spread.
Side chest.
And again, Dan, there were some pictures circulating yesterday, this side chest, where people thought that Big Ramy owned this pose when standing next to Phil Heath. Let's see how they look tonight.
Well, both of them are making it a point to showcase their hamstrings, and we are, it almost becomes murkier and murkier because Phil Heath obviously has a different look, and it's extremely difficult to compare these guys, but Big Ramy is massive, and he is in the best shape of his life.
Winning the Olympia is won from the back. Lee Haney, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, and now the Gift, Phil Heath, should own this pose from calf to traps.
Of course, William Bonac is the guy who's got something to say about this as well.
Rolly and Williams switch.
And that's where they're bringing William Bonac closer to the action. They're going to give Sean a fair opportunity to stand next to the champion.
Gentlemen, back lat spread.
Steve Weinberger knows that there's a lot of money up for grabs. He properly prepared them, so Steve's going to let these guys work.
Absolutely. Of course, Sean's got to get outside. He just from the back, he didn't belong next to Phil Heath. The back double bicep is Phil Heath, and we're back to that side chest, which arguably is one of those poses that Big Ramy wins. The side tricep, I think Phil Heath sneaks up on.
Abdominals and thighs.
How does Big Ramy win this contest? Walk us through this.
It's got to be one of those situations where it's based on improvement. Ramy is the best he's been. I cannot say the same thing about Phil Heath.
Sean, I'm going to put you on the spot. Is Big Ramy a better bodybuilder tonight than Phil Heath?
There's a case that he's making right now, Dan, that I arguably would have absolutely no argument if he took the Sandow Trophy home. However, Phil's genetic strengths cannot be denied. The downside of being a dominant champion is that they want you to close the door on your competition, and Phil has left that door open.
This is a really good call out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to get a sense for what William Bonac has become, it's nothing short of amazing. Sean Roden was given the opportunity earlier to move into an inner spot, and then Steve Weinberger looked at it, pushed him back off to the side.
Well, let me tell you something. Dexter wins it when he's standing next to William, but when you get down to that lower half, William's calves make Dexter look like an amateur. And this is where Sean falls behind, again, especially in the lower back department, but mostly the meaty, chunky middle back, along with Rolly Winkler. The lower back is just not there.
This pose down, of course,
Sean, Dexter, William, and Rolly back in line.
A battle for third place. Who has the advantage right now?
Gentlemen, quarter turn to the right.
And this is how good this Olympia lineup is when you see guys like Josh Lenardowitz,
quarter turn to the right,
McMillan, and Brandon Curry and Nathan, these guys that are in this call out right now. These are good bodybuilders here.
And in this lineup, I'm going to go with Brandon Curry and Heath with Diasha in this comparison, and that says a lot because I believe Brandon Curry is taking out our reigning defending Arnold Classic champion from Ohio. Brandon won the Arnold Classic championships, and Nathan Diasha is one of the more improved. Obviously, I believe that Josh is a little spent for all intents and purposes in terms of getting to this competition. But right now, I got Brandon Curry in this for comparison.
Back double bicep.
But I can tell you right now, these judges are not going to hand it to Phil Heath. He's not going to get this thing just because he is the defending champ. He's going to have to win this thing.
But again, if Phil wins because he has a better total genetic structure and a better back. And that is half your body when we're talking the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, the lower back, the middle back, the deltoids. He wins that from the rear.
Abdominals and thighs.
But he has to know that he's in a dogfight. They
Favorite
are not
most
comfortable.
muscular.
I know he works with Hani Ramba, but right now I think he's probably a little bit nervous. And we're going to see that come out in the pose down. Phil is going to be fighting like an animal. He's going for history. So that means a lot more than just winning. History lasts forever. He's got 6 Olympia titles. He wants history.
All right, this is where you're going to get a chance to see these guys really make their money. If I'm not mistaken, $400,000 up for grabs for the winner's check.
It would have been nice to just see Phil and Big Ramy, because that's really where the contest is.
All right, I'm going to take you pose by pose, Sean Ray. These guys are going to start with the front double bicep. Phil Heath versus Big Ramy for the 2017 Olympia. Let's take it shot for shot. Front double bicep. Who has the advantage?
Right now, the advantage is Phil when his stomach is flexed. He's got to be flexed or it doesn't look right.
Now they're going to move into the front lat spread. Phil Heath versus Big Ramy.
I'm going with Big Ramy all day on the front lat spread. Just way too wide. You can't ignore the sweeping quads.
Now, a pose that has always really fared very well for Phil Heath is the side chest. Let's move in to this comparison. How do you see this one?
I'm staying with Big Ramy on the side chest. I saw this a few times, and it is ridiculous in terms of the girth. Phil is hard through the pecs. It just doesn't have the girth, the width, and the meat and the mass. He's competitive, but Big Ramy wins that pose to me.
Back double bicep.
All right, the plot thickens. They are turned to the back. As they do these poses, they will check themselves on the monitor. They're basically watching the same thing you guys are watching at home. They just have to look up a little bit higher to do it. Sean Ray, how does it look?
And this is a maturity thing. I think Phil has him on the muscularity part. Again, in the lower part, this is where Big Ramy, he had the hamstring injury before. The calves aren't necessarily all the way there. I think Phil has this pose.
Back lat spread.
Who gets this one?
Big Ramy all day. He's wide as a 747 jet. Watch those lats open up and basically make Phil look very narrow. I thought Ramy is ridiculous, and Phil's got to look over there at Dexter Jackson, who's actually wider than him.
Now we're going to go in to a side tricep shot. Again, another pose that has always been very favorable to the champ.
Absolutely, and I just think Ramy's hitting that shot wrong. He's not doing it right. This is where, I'm telling you, this is where Phil is dead serious. He thinks he's kidding with Dexter, but this is about money right now and history. He's fighting for his paycheck.
Just looking at the intensity in Big Ramy's face as he hits that shot. He is here. He knows he has a chance. He can taste this thing. Phil Heath, though, is not going to go quietly, and quite frankly, from what I would guess, Phil Heath coming into this thing are really separating themselves. But Sean, based on your analysis, Big Ramy has a whole lot of advantages.
He certainly does, Dan, and I got to tell you, Phil is getting more and more aggressive because he realizes the sand in the clock is ticking, and he's got to get that title. This is what he's here for.
All right, thank you, Big Steve. Folks, I hold in my hand the results of the Mr.
Orleans Arena for the moment that bodybuilding fans await all year round, the crowning of a new Mr. Olympia, and we're going to find out who that's going to be, whether or not it is in fact a new Mr. Olympia, or whether Phil Heath is able to retain the title. We're going to learn that in just a moment.
Gentlemen, quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right. Face front. Front double bicep.
Well, this is going to be our final chance to get to see these guys compared. Phil Heath in the center on one side of him, Big Ramy Mamdouelsbaye on the other side, the former Olympia champion of 2008, Dexter Jackson. William Bonac all the way off to the right side of your screen, and Sean Roden all the way off to the left side. These are the top 5 bodybuilders in the world. And now what they're going to do is they're going to move Big Ramy into the center. He is milking the crowd. The crowd is responding in a big way. During the commercial break, Bob Ciccarello asked the audience who they thought was going to win. He mentioned every single name, and the name that got the biggest applause was Big Ramy. People are really excited about the possibility that we could potentially see the crowning of a 14th Mr. Olympia tonight. This is extremely close, extremely difficult to call. Big Ramy has done the work, and he has brought something extremely dangerous. I don't know if he's going to win tonight. He might, but I can tell you this right now. He's created a whole lot of intrigue as we begin the march to the 2018 Olympia.
Abdominals in 5.
We knew Big Ramy was special from the moment we first heard about him. His first couple outings at the Olympia were impressive. They were respectable, but we knew he had further that he needed to go. We knew that there was a piece of this puzzle that he hadn't found yet. It appears that he has found it. And now in the final moments of Olympia judging, their final chance to make their case, there's your 2008 Olympia champion Dexter Jackson, Sean Roden, last year's runner-up, Phil Heath, Big Ramy, William Bonac are going to catch their breath, and it's now time for a pose down.
There's only one man on that stage that has beaten your reigning 6-time defending champion, and that is Dexter the Blade Jackson. Everyone else has been a bridesmaid along the way, and they've all taken turns beating each other in competitions around the world on the bodybuilding circuit. However, Phil Heath, when he ventured outside the United States, has done nothing but win. He won over in India at the Shuru Classic. He won over in Spain at the Arnold Classic Europe, and he's focused since then only on the Mr. Olympia championships.
And in typical fashion, the champion is making his way to one side of the stage, and the contenders are chasing. And who knows when the day will come where they will start chasing Big Ramy. I have a feeling it's not too far down the road. The question is that going to start tonight? Phil Heath is an impressive champion. He's trying to win his 7th Sandow Trophy, something that has only been done by Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronnie Coleman, and Lee Haney in the history of the Mr. Olympia contest. Big Ramy is having a whole lot of fun here in Las Vegas tonight. He knows what's at stake. His contingency of supporters have followed him here, and there's a whole lot of enthusiasm around the possibility that a new champion could be crowned. Seeing Sean Roden up there is also a credit to his ongoing consistency. He has been top 5 in the world for several years in a row right now. And apparently he will stay there, or certainly he will have a spot in the top 6, or in the top 5 rather. But for Phil Heath, the question is, did he do enough? Big Ramy comes over, he asks permission to make his way out into the crowd. Or I guess they're not going to authorize that permission. They seem to be on a different time constraint this year. Typically they'll allow these guys out into the audience to bring the fans to their feet, to take pictures with the fans during the pose down. We're not going to see that tonight for television considerations.
Let me give you some perspective, Dan. Right now, these guys are physically exhausted. There's really very little gas to take, and now with this camera angle, you see the detail that Ramy doesn't necessarily have in that muscularity shot that Phil actually is carrying. But this is when they're spent. They've been dieting in the anxiety and the dehydration. It is a very strenuous position to be in. They cannot wait to get this thing over.
And I'm going to caution the fans out there, because I know there's fans of Big Ramy that think he has this. The fans of Phil Heath thinks he has it. And you know what? On some level, you're both right, because you both have a good case for winning this thing. There isn't a right or a wrong answer on this thing. These guys are having a lot of fun. They all bring something very different. What Big Ramy brings is not what Phil Heath brings, but they are both, or in the case of Big Ramy, he is at the top of his game. Phil Heath obviously has a genetic predisposition to deliver something that's remarkable.
Please take the 5th place award in check for $45,000 to your 5th place finisher, Sean Roden.
All right, Sean Ray, there it is. Sean Roden is going to finish 5th place here at the 2017 Mr. Olympia, and one of the great bodybuilders on the planet. He fell just a little bit short. I know he wanted to bring something a little bit different, but it didn't quite play out for him this year. But once again, $45,000 fifth place check.
You will take the fourth place award, a check for $55,000, and present it to the Blade, Dexter Jackson.
And once again, Dexter Jackson remains among the world's very best, and the fans respect it. They appreciate it. And Dexter Jackson, I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to be back again next year.
Well, there's nothing. Look at Dexter Jackson said, unless he falls out of the top 6, he doesn't have a plan B. This is his life's calling. He's showing us his life's work. It's not that he's off, and it's not that he's old. He is in the elite of the elite.
To your third place finisher, William Bonac.
William Bonac continues to climb the ladder, joins the very exclusive top 3 in the World Club, where he will be presented with an Olympia bronze medal, something I know you are very familiar with. Sean Ray, I think you have a few of those hanging in your office.
I got 3 of them, Dan, and I got to tell you something. That is a heavy little weight that he's got around his neck. And it is an accomplishment in his career that he'll be able to tell his grandchildren, because he is the #3 bodybuilder, not just tonight, but in the world at his profession. That is a very good feeling to have, and now he's going to focus on second or first. He's got his work cut out.
On the line here tonight, folks, $400,000. The Sandow and the title of 2017 Mr. Olympia. Please welcome to the stage, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
The Rock brings that element to any audience.
How's everybody doing, by the way? This is the 2017 Olympia. It could be an historic night. I said, how is everybody doing tonight? So, to these 2 gentlemen, I want to tell you from my heart, and to the athletes who competed tonight, men, women, all incredibly inspiring, incredible. The discipline has been incredible. It's all the things and qualities that we love and admire and respect about you guys. So on behalf of myself, everyone in this room, and everyone around the world, I want to thank you for inspiring us to create the best person we could be daily and always be the hardest workers in the room. I love you too. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the greatest bodybuilder on the planet, the recipient of the 2017 iconic Sandow Trophy, the 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil the Gift Heath.
As spoken from the mouth of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, move over, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You've got company. Phil Heath is now a 7-time winner of bodybuilding's most prestigious title. He is Mr. Olympia once again, 1 victory shy of the all-time record. But for tonight, Phil Heath will celebrate #7 alongside The Rock, and the admiration of fans around the world. Big Ramy Mamdouazbieh settles for second. It was a furious charge by the runner-up. Big Ramy deserves all the respect in the world. He is not finished yet. Big Ramy will be back next year to battle for this title, but for now, the night belongs to Phil the Gift Heath. Jim Mannion presents the Sandow Trophy, bodybuilding's most coveted prize, along with a very big $400,000 check. Phil Heath from Colorado remains the best bodybuilder in the world.
And Dan, again, he was pushed to the limits, rose to the occasion, and there's no doubt in my mind that this contest was won from the back. And that is Phil Heath's strength. If you don't take him out in his best poses, he is Mr. Olympia 7 times. I didn't hear anybody boo, and The Rock is taking it from here.
Phil, congratulations. You've done something very special. You've done something iconic. You've just made history. You have tied the greatest bodybuilder of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger's record at number 7. What's going through your mind? What's going through your heart?
I'm just so thankful because when I started bodybuilding on October 8th, 2002, I had no idea that I would be standing on this stage one day winning the Mr. Olympia, let alone, being 7-time champion. When I got into this journey, I was, a little bit bitter because I didn't make it playing Division I basketball, and I was trying to find another outlet. And bodybuilding taught me how to be strong mentally, physically, and emotionally through all life's challenges. It taught me how to train hard when no one's in the room, when you're having a bad day, through death, through hardship, through anything that can go wrong. I always had the gym. Over at Arm Breast, I could train. I could train any time of the day. There would be days I would train by myself or with my fiance, Cherie, and I would be in there dying. I'd be in there dying, looking at those pictures in the gym of Schwarzenegger, of Coleman, of Haney, of Dorian, of everybody. And I would just tell myself, one more set, one more rep, just give it everything you got so you can put yourself in the best position to win. And that's all we can do in life, people. Sometimes life is gonna serve you up some curveballs, but I challenge each and every one of you to step in that batter's box and take a damn swing. You look in the mirror and you ask yourself, do you give it your all? You look at the mirror and you ask yourself, do you have another rep? You ask yourself, can I go to work when I'm pissed off because I'm about to get fired or something bad happened or lost my girlfriend or whatever it is? You ask yourself, do you have the guts to go after it when no one is watching, no one's patting you on the back, and no one is liking your stuff on freaking social media? If you got the guts to go after it, you can put yourself in best position to win, and that's what I did through this entire prep. It was not easy. A lot of people say, oh, Phil, he's got genetics and this and that. I put that God-given talent to work each and every damn day in the gym. And I'm just proud to be a 7-time Mr. Olympia, and like the great Oak said, next year, I'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2017 Mr. Olympia, the king of bodybuilding, Phil the Gift Heath.
Well, once again, Phil Heath
Get a pose, Phil.
is victorious against a very formidable lineup of international players, and Big Ronnie has absolutely nothing to hold his head down about. He is sniffing that title, and like Phil said, he'll be back. I'm sure Big Ronnie will. With Big Ronnie is William Bonek in 3rd place, and of course Dexter the Blade Jackson and Sean Roden, who's got some work to do. This lineup won't change too much next year. That trophy, as heavy as it is, probably feels light as a feather. In Phil Heath's hand, it was the 53rd Olympia is in the record books. And 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath, is now poised to join Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney for number 8.